Of the 12 legions, Zaros ushered into Gielinor with the power of Lorenab's 12 heads. One of those demons was a Chthonian by the name Senecianus Aloysius Pamphilius. Chthonian demons are entities of insatiable hunger. For any being they devoured not only gives them nourishment, but also grants them every power belonging to the consumed. However, to be part of Zaros' empire meant Chthonians had to suppress their ghastly urges, especially around humans. Humans were part of Zaros' empire, afforded all the protections and privileges as any other. To eat a human was a great crime. Working as an accountant, Senecianus grew fond of a little street urchin he named Rowena. On occasion, he would leave her small morsels of food and watch her endearing mannerisms and behavior. One night, he wished to meet the girl and feed her himself. She did not fear him, and took the bread he offered, and ate with Senecianus in silence. But it was too much for Senecianus, and his Chthonian urges overcame him, devouring the girl whole, absorbing her essence, and driving him mad from the guilt of what he'd done. He was interred in Senntisten Asylum, where he remained for millennia, long after the fall of the Zarosian Empire, buried deep underground and hidden away, forgotten. On the border between Mistalin and Mauritania, not far from the dig site and the remains of the ancient city of Senntisten, there sits a manor. In the early 5th Age, a wealthy merchant and powerful mage by the name of Ormod Gulvas commissioned this manor be built. It was here he and his wife had a son, Lenian. But no joy lasts long atop the bones of the Zarosian Empire, for a deadly pox took Ormod's wife, pushing him toward work-focused seclusion. His boy was just a distraction, and so he took on a nursemaid to tend to the child, to keep him fed and occupied and locked away in a tower. One day, when the nursemaid damaged one of Ormod's relics, he enacted a cruel discipline, resulting in her death.
History would agree that the blame for her death lies with her. Had she been less clumsy, it need not have happened.
Weeks had passed before Ormod remembered Lenian.
That fatuous nursemaid had failed to provide him with an adequate source of water. Another death to lay at her feet. May Saradomin have mercy on her black soul.
Ormod had soon realized how inexplicably unsettled he had become. He consulted the wizard's tower and demanded they treat his affliction as a curse. But when the wizards failed to concoct an effective counterspell, he called them traitors and sent them away. Instead, he turned to tribal seers, who told him the secret to his affliction lay deep beneath his manor. Ormod took to digging, and deep beneath the surface of the earth he found ruined stonework, relics of an ancient building shattered into fragments, decaying with time. But a door locked with magical enchantment stopped him, and the wizard's tower refused to send anyone to help. Ormod concluded it was not a spell that cursed him, but simply the nature of age, knowledge, and experience.
In retrospect, it seems obvious to me that a life which would take away a hard-working man's wife and child is not a life worth living. This realization made, I knew what had to be done. Before I could rest, I would pass on the fruit of my discovery to the servants, so that they need not suffer as I had suffered. To make their final hours more entertaining, I sealed the mansion with magic and hunted them, one by one.
Ormod died of a self-administered poison and left his manor to his sister, Briaca. A descendant of Ormod, Ingram Gulvas, returned to his family's ancestral home in the year 169 of the 5th Age. He'd spent a month in the manor without learning anything about the supposed horrors that were committed within these walls. He did learn much about his ancestors' chaotic mental state, however. Being a skilled mage and rune merchant, Ormod sought a magical solution to his predicament. Ingram concluded that Ormod never succeeded. It wasn't long before Ormod's ghost began haunting the new inhabitants of the manor, locking it with magics and preventing anyone from fleeing. Now he repeats that macabre dance once more, and my staff and I are his unwilling partners. But in his imprisonment, Ingram found the sealed door Ormod had uncovered all those years ago. He prayed there would either be an escape behind it, or perhaps a solution. Ingram managed what Ormod could not, and bypassed the door's magical locks, and within, he encountered a beast beyond his ability to comprehend. Although he was certain the door would no longer hold the beast, he did his best to reseal the monster and retreat. But on his way back toward the house, he encountered the ghost of a little girl, a voiceless, gentle thing that erupted into a mass of flesh and mouths and eyes. The same beast he'd tried to seal away. What curse could befall such a sweet child that causes her to manifest such unholy fury? Ingram concluded that perhaps the curse Ormod sought to cure his madness could be used to cure the young girl's spirit instead. But if Ormod could not make it work after so many years, what chance have I in these last scant hours? One of Ingram's staff managed to escape the manor. How is a mystery, but she pleads with a passing adventurer to help free the manor and its inhabitants from the grip of the spirits haunting it. This adventurer enters the manor and makes their way through the maze of locked doors and endless passageways while avoiding Ormod's vengeful spirit. Along the way, they find notes and ramblings written by the owner of the manor and several scraps of paper, fragments of an old spell. Within one of the rooms is an old hairbrush, which the adventurer brings to the spirit of a young boy tucked away inside the manor's tower. The spirit breaks his neurotic silence and explains that his father's spirit haunts the manor over guilt for the death of his son. It's at this moment that a ghostly waif appears and consumes the boy's spirit with a distended, mouthed appendage. The waif transforms into a monster covered in eyes and mouths, constantly pulsating with hunger, and chases the adventurer through the manor. In the basement, the adventurer finds respite from the creature and stumbles upon Ormod's old excavation. Deep beneath the earth, there is an old book of notes, Nabor's Notes on Insanity. If the adventurer can find the last piece of the spell, perhaps it can be modified with these notes. The adventurer soon finds Ingram's body, with it the final piece of the spell. They combine the pieces using Nabor's notes and cast the spell on the creature. But nothing happens. At least, it seems nothing happens. The spell did work, but it was not the spirit of the girl that was cursed. A Chthonian demon had fallen victim to its perpetual lust for consumption and had been locked away in Senttisten's old insane asylum for millennia, only for Ingram to release it from its bonds. The demon's name, the adventurer learns, is Senecianus Aloysius Pamphilius. He'd been driven mad by the guilt of consuming the little Rowena, and in his madness, he believed he was Rowena, playing with people who always seemed to disappear. He thanks the adventurer for curing him, but feels troubled that the adventurer can no longer excise the spirit of Ormod from the manor. Lenian was the key, and Senecianus consumed him. Senecianus offers two solutions. He can take on the form of Lenian and either console Ormod's spirit, absolving him of guilt, or he can do what Chthonian demons do best, and absorb the vengeful spirit into his being. Whatever the adventurer chooses, the manor is freed from the horrific grasp of spirits and demons, although the reputation will likely be harder to fix.